Welcome to Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. Sit back and enjoy these great stories and memories of the Kingsmen Quartet.
Welcome to another great episode of Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. My name is Bryan Hutson, and my co-host is Josh Griffin. Josh, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Bryan. How about you, sir?
Doing well. Man, it's good to see you again this week.
Yes, sir. You too, sir. It's a great honor to be here once again with you on Behind the Crown Podcast.
Well, I tell you what, we're having an absolute blast doing this podcast. In case you're just joining us, for people that are watching or listening, this podcast is dedicated to the Kingsmen, the message, the men, and the music of the Kingsmen Quartet. And Josh, we had a great episode last week, giving our thoughts on the big, huge hometown concert that was took place July the 10th in Asheville, North Carolina. Of course, we've been talking about it for weeks here on the podcast and talking about it. And we finally got to experience that great hometown concert.
Yes,
Kingsmen were celebrating 70 years. Of course, they introduced their new album, digitally dropped that day, Still Jesus, great new record. And so it went from a concert that was planned just, to introduce the new album to, okay, let's maybe invite some of the former guys back.
Yeah.
And so it just it turned into like a mini Kingsman reunion.
Yes, sir.
And so last 2 weeks, we were able to talk about that on the podcast and talk about my thoughts from on the stage and your thoughts as a fan.
Yes,
and
sir.
so we got to talk about that and had a good time doing that. But this episode is going to be a special episode. But before we get into that, Josh, do we have a piece of useless information?
Yeah. Parts of the Great Wall China were made with sticky rice.
Ooh, sticky rice.
Yeah, sticky rice. And I love Chinese food. I wonder if they have fried sticky rice. But anyways, yeah.
I guarantee they did,
that?
Josh.
Yeah.
So when you go so you mean tell me all the times I have went to South Georgia and met up with you and your precious family, we've never ate Chinese food?
Well, the reason why the two sisters, they don't like Chinese food that well. So
okay, there you have it.
To keep peace in the house. Yes,
there you go. Have it. Hey, I know all about that. There's certain kind of foods my wife doesn't like, and so we don't go to those places.
Yeah. But I love Chinese food.
So if it's going to be just me and you, Josh, just say in the future, you and I get together and just do lunch. We're going to go to a Chinese buffet.
All right. Yeah.
And we're going to wear it out. All right.
Yes.
We're going to do some full-time eating. Okay. Well, for my piece of useless information, of course, we told about last week that 1956, Kingsmen were formed in 1956, originally as the McKinney brothers.
Yeah.
So my piece of use of information last week was telling about some things that were invented or that came into prominence in 1956. William Holden was the #1 box office draw. The Ten Commandments was like the biggest movie of 1956. Yankees were the World Series winners. Sure. And I also found out for this week's piece of useless information, General Electric developed the very first alarm clock in 1956.
How about that? Yeah.
Very useful.
A very useful tool. Yes.
So let me ask you, Josh.
Yes.
Do you have an actual alarm clock, or do you use your phone as your alarm clock?
Actual alarm clock. Yes.
Okay. So you're old school.
Yeah. And I hit that snooze button every chance I get, and it gives me 5 extra minutes. I'll hit it again and get another 5 minutes.
Man, see?
Yeah.
See, that's where we differ, Josh.
Okay. Yeah.
It is rare.
Yeah.
Rare that my alarm even wakes me up.
Ah, yeah.
If my alarm is set for 5:30 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. or 7:30 a.m., I will wake up at least 40 minutes before my alarm.
Wow.
And I don't hit the snooze. If my alarm does wake me up, and I use my phone, by the way, I'm not old school.
Yeah.
I never hit the snooze.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we got on this tangent of talking about sleeping. I think I'm going to oversleep. So I never hit the snooze. I don't ever want to oversleep. So I just go ahead and get up. So,
And that's a scary feeling too. I've done that before and realized, oh Lord, I'm running late for work.
well, Josh, last week we talked about that great concert. We mentioned that already briefly tonight.
Yes.
That Asheville concert. It was so emotional. The current group took the stage the first half of the concert. We have some of the alumnus that were there.
Yes.
Of course, we talked about Gary Shepard doing "He's All I Need." We talked about Bob Sellers singing "Lovely Name of Jesus." And Greg Fox coming up doing "Gone." Sam Parsons was there, and he did a little bit of "Sweet Beautiful Land" and "Look for Me at Jesus' Feet." Of course, Eric Phelps, the son of legendary Kingsman Ernie Phillips, was there. And he did a couple of his dad's songs, and sung tenor for his dad, and so it was just. And of course, we had Bob Conley there, Colby McClatchy, Rory Rigdon. Of course, I mentioned Greg Fox and Bob Conley, Randy Miller, and then we had the big and live band, which was Richie Works and Evan Bradford, and of course Brandon Reese, of course, and then Jordan Hamby, and then Cutter Singleton. Can't forget Cutter. Yeah. And we had Kenyon Maynard playing the steel. Yeah. And it was just a incredible night, Josh.
Yes, that's right. Yes, sir. And I'll mention too, it was great to meet the original baritone singer, one of the founding members, Raymond McKinney.
Yes.
And I got my picture made with him, and along with a lot of other guys, got him to sign my bass guitar. He was surprised that I wanted to sign my bass guitar, And I'll mention this too. When he walked in, I was out there talking to someone in the foyer. Bob Sellers went and got his picture made with him, talked to him. And then Bob looks at me and says, hey, kind of with his hands and eyes, you need to get over there. And that was great. And I got my picture made. And then everybody come over. A bunch of young kids got their pictures made with it. And I was sitting there and said, I'll take your picture with him and your phone, Yeah. And to see Raymond McKinney light up when all that happened, that was great to see.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Raymond's, I think, 93 or 94. He broke his hip about a year ago, and they said he walked out of the rehab place. He's spry and just a jewel of a man. Josh, we were talking about the 70th anniversary reunion that was the mini reunion back on July the 10th. And we have, for the next few minutes, we're going to have some comments from some of the guys that were on stage that night. And but before we play those, Ray Talley had played the piano for the Kingsmen in the early 1960s. Not only was he a piano player, but he was also the MC for the group, and he was there that night. But Ray sent us a few comments about the reunion. He was there that night in Asheville at Trinity Baptist. He said the 70th anniversary Kingsmen reunion was awesome. To stand with those men who took what 5 country boys started and took the Kingsmen to where they are today is a blessing beyond belief. When I joined the Kingsmen in 1960, we had no desire to do anything but sing. I don't remember the church that took up an offering for us for the very first time. He said, we willingly financed our own existence. I have nothing but great memories. The 70th anniversary mini reunion concert in Asheville allowed me to dream the dream again. And that was from Ray Talley. And like I said, one of the greatest men that I've ever known, just a wonderful encourager. And he sat there and cheered us on all night. In fact, he introduced us on the second half. He introduced the guys for the second half to start the concert. So
that's right. Super sweet guy. And I just love watching him during the sing because he was enjoying it. He was. He was.
So anyway, sit back and for the next few moments and enjoy some comments and special memories and the highlights from some of the guys that were there that night at Asheville at the 70th anniversary mini reunion.
Sitting and reflecting on the day that was the 70th anniversary concert. It was a special day. Honestly, the pinnacle of my career, as far as with the Kingsmen is concerned. It was unbelievable. We didn't want to market it as a reunion. We wanted it to be a concert of Kingsmen past and present coming together as a unit. We didn't want to call it a reunion because so many have gone home to be with the Lord, and so many were unable to be with us. But I felt like we achieved what we set out to do, and the Kingsmen of the past that came shared our vision. And like I said, the Kingsmen past and present, they did come together as a unit and as a group of, as a brotherhood, and put on this program. And any kind of a program that had lesser individuals participating, it would have failed. I fully believe that it would have failed. But that's the brotherhood that is the Kingsmen Quartet. And so I can't thank those guys enough. Got to call attention to Sam Parsons, Eric Phillips, and even one guy that stayed in the background a lot, Kenyon Maynard. They got it just as much as the alumni did because they had seen their daddies have those, they saw their daddies live it, and they saw the vision that was the Kingsmen back in the day. Sam sang his dad's songs, Squire. He sang Beulah Land and Look for Me at Jesus' Feet, and just those were both tremendous highlights for the program. Eric Phillips, we got in a lot of commentary about Eric. Eric sang his dad, Ernie Phillips. He sang a lot of his songs. And that was a thrill for me to get to sing When They Call My Name with Eric. I thought that was a pretty good little quartet. Me and Brady and Bryan Hutson and Eric Phillips, and the band just mashing in the background, doing When They Call My Name. That was one of my favorite moments. And Kenyon Maynard brought something special because Wayne Maynard was not able to be with us, but Kenyon came and played Gary Dillard's steel guitar. And so there was so much of the Kingsmen nostalgia all over what Kenyon did. But every moment with Sam and Eric singing was a special one. And I've got to call attention to my brothers in the present day Kingsmen, Brandon and Brady and Harold and Josh. They shared my vision, and they helped make it a success. They all contributed. Brandon led the band and led the charge on that. That wasn't something I could have done, but Brandon knew exactly what to do. Harold helped with the sound, and he contributed several ideas to the program. And Josh facilitated everything at Trinity. A lot of people may know, they may not know. Josh is Arthur Rice's assistant at Trinity, and when Arthur was unable to be with us, Josh took over a lot of Arthur's job, far as working on staff at Trinity, and everything that I needed, Josh made happen that day. And then Brady contributed so many great ideas as well. One of the biggest things that Brady did was help me keep my head screwed on straight during that program. By the time the program started, my brain was starting to melt. It was so overloaded. And I'd have to look to Brady and say, where's the program at? What's next on the program? And he just jumped right in and helped me. And so I can't thank those guys enough for that. Ray Dean Reese, Ray Talley, and Raymond McKinney, to get to see them there, I knew that I wanted them to do as much or as little as they wanted to do. But I told the staff at Trinity, and I told Jake Sammons with Singing News TV, keep a spotlight or a stage light, whatever it was, keep a stage light on those guys as much as possible, and keep the cameras on them as much as possible, and make sure that the people know just how included they are in this program. And they did that. And they all contributed. That's what's cool too. Raymond was there just cheering us on. He sang a little bit during the second half. I think he sang along with us. Greg took a microphone too, and Greg Fox, and he sang along with, I believe, I've Never Been This Homesick Before. And Ray Talley, I asked him to help us start the program off, and he introduced us during the second half. And then Ray, I don't know if Ray really wanted to do any kind of singing, but you know what? Drew and Brady saw to it that Ray was included on the program. Probably the most commented thing that we had all night long was Brady and Drew, how they did everything to make sure that Ray was in the spotlight. And that's because those two guys love and cherish Ray Dean Reese just like the rest of us do. And I can't thank those guys enough for loving on Ray Dean Reese and making sure that the people saw him and that he enjoyed himself as much as possible. Gary Shepard, and he's all I need. What a moment. What a moment. I've said this to several. Gary has always been one of the most beloved Kingsmen alumni. There's no doubt about that. But Gary walked into Trinity that day as a beloved Kingsman alumnus. And he left that place a bona fide living legend, if there ever was one. And Gary told me, he texted me some afterwards. He said, we were talking. He said, my phone has been blowing up. People contacted me. And that's exactly what I wanted, was for Gary Shepard to be able to be in the spotlight and just do what he did. And so he left that place, I think, a bigger icon than what he already was. And I thought that was cool. Bob Sellers and Bryan Hutson, they worked together on that second half to make sure that those two middle parts, if I wasn't singing or if Josh Davis wasn't singing, they worked together to make sure that they were in sync with each other. Arthur was not able to be with us because Arthur was recovering from kidney stone surgery. But Bob and Bryan were working together very closely to make sure that those baritone and those lead parts were right where they needed to be. And I can't thank them enough for it. And Arthur, even though he wasn't able to be with us, Arthur recorded an intro that to me set the tone for the whole program. Arthur was brokenhearted that he couldn't be there, and it's all over that video. But Arthur set it up in such a beautiful fashion. It was all he could do. He told me to get through it. He said it was one of the hardest things he'd ever had to do was record that video. But that program, I think, was made better because Arthur did that video. Got to say about Greg Bentley. Greg facilitated so much. I mean, I talk about Josh facilitating things, so did Greg. Both those guys on staff at Trinity, both those guys worked together to make this work so phenomenally. Greg facilitated a lot of the sound. In fact, Josh's brother, Carlin Davis, did a lot of the sound and the mixing as well. And so they were such a big help with that. And yes, it got recorded for video and for audio, and we're excited about that. Greg's going to be facilitating a lot of that. I got to say, Richie Works played on every single song. I don't think anybody else in the band did, but Richie played on every song, and we sang like 35 songs that night, and Richie played on all of them. Props to Richie. He was the only piano player that we had available to us. Of course, he's the go-to guy. He is one of the Kingsmen. And so he did an outstanding job. So finally, I've just got to say thank you to Ray Dean Reese, Brandon Reese, Brady Jones, Harold Reed, Josh Davis, Drew Laney, Bryan Hutson, Bob Sellers, Gary Shepard, Greg Fox, Randy Miller, Arthur Rice, Rory Rigdon, Bob Conley, Colby McClatchy, Richie Works, Evan Bradford, the Big and Live Band with Kenyon Maynard, Cutter Singleton. A lot of people love Cutter. Jordan Hamby. Those guys brought their A game that night. Got to thank those guys. Of course, Sam Parsons and Eric Phillips and all the people that came and made this special night a success. It is one of the greatest nights of my life, and I can't thank you all enough.
Hey everybody, Drew Laney here, and I just want to take a quick second to reflect on the Kingsmen 70th anniversary. It was truly an unforgettable night. I've been sitting here trying to figure out what to say, and really, I don't know. It was just so good that it's hard to explain it. From the old ship of Zion when we were all up there, and getting to hear Ray again and sing that his verse, it was just wow. It was truly one of the greatest things I've ever witnessed or been a part of. And then Gary Shepard doing "He's All I Need," and then his testimony through it. It blows my mind. I don't think there was a dry eye in that building after that. One of my favorite things he said was, "It's not the music. Music is music. It's the words in our music. That's what makes it special." And I don't think it can get any truer than that. And hearing Sam do Beulah Land and Look for Me, that was definitely a top bucket list. You could feel the spirit when he was singing it, and he was just coming straight from the heart. And Eric, I swear, if you close your eyes, you think little Ernie's there. I mean, wow. It was just a breathtaking night. It was one of those nights I'll forever be grateful that I was a part of. Thank you to everybody who was there, and all the people who came up to me and encouraged me and loved on me once again. I'm thankful for y'all. Thank you to the Kingsmen for letting me be a part of it, for giving me an opportunity. And that was one thing about that night. There was no egos there. Well, we got on stage and everybody cheered everybody on. Everybody loved on each other, cried with each other, laughed with each other. It was just a great night, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. So thank you again for everything you've done. I've been sitting at home trying to come up with what to say, and I just can't. I'm speechless, really. It was just a historic night. And if you're like me, I've been rewatching it on Singing News TV. I'm so thankful they were there, because that was the first thing I did was come home and watch it. And my wife was like, you were there singing it. And it was just one of those things every time I watch it, it just gets better and better. So thank you. If you have not seen it, I encourage you, go to Singing News TV and watch it, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It was one of those nights. It was just so amazing. So thank you again for letting me be a part of it. I'll forever be grateful to be a Kingsman. We don't take that lightly. Once a Kingsman, always a Kingsman. And it is so true. It was just a big family reunion, and the guys, they couldn't be any better. There's not a better group of men out there.
I just wanted to say a little bit about the 70th anniversary Kingsman reunion that I was blessed to be able to attend and be a part of this past Friday night. Wow, the memories that were made. You know, when I was growing up, obviously besides the influence of my dad singing, as a small child, I wanted to be Ray Dean Reese. I wanted to sing bass with the Kingsmen Quartet. That never happened. Then I wanted to be Anthony Berger. So I remember my dad, we bought a piano, and I took piano lessons for about a year, and can't tell you anything about piano. So my Anthony Berger days was very short-lived. Then I wanted to be Greg Fox. You know, my dad bought me a drum set, so I could learn the drums. And I did nothing but bust holes in the drums, and I have 2 left feet and cannot play the drums this day. But, you know, being with those guys, a lot of memories like that just came flooding in about the impact that many of those Kingsmen had on me as a small child, and then of course growing up, getting into the industry. But wow, we had such a wonderful time. Being able to sing those songs that Dad sang many years ago while he was with the Kingsmen was such an honor and such a blessing for me to be a part of. Hearing Gary Shepherd sing "He's All I Need," it was kind of a full circle moment for me, because one of the first songs, or the first song that I sang publicly when I began to sing, was "He's All I Need," and it was at Trinity Baptist Church there when I was a teenager growing up there. That's where we attended before I moved to Alabama. But singing with the former members, and then being able to sing with the current members, it was just an exciting time, and it's just really can't express how honored and blessed I am to have been a part of that. Thank you, Alan Kendall. Thank you, Brady Jones, for reaching out to me and asking me to be a part of it. It was something I'll never forget, and just wanted to express my thanks, and again, thank you very much.
So a couple of my favorite highlights from the 70th Kingsman anniversary was getting to play, which was amazing. And my second favorite highlight was definitely playing the intro to "We Do Not Die." One of my favorite Kingsman songs, behind Child, Child, of course. And getting to play that intro that Beaver played for so many years, and then having the video of Ernie come up behind it, was amazing. I'm not sure if I played on time or key, but a lot of emotions went with that. And my favorite highlight of the whole night was probably getting to stand behind Gary Shepherd and Eric Phillips and sing "Old Ship of Zion." And that was some of my best times ever playing steel guitar. And the steel guitar that I played belonged to Gary Beaver Dillard. And I had asked him when I was first starting to play, because he was my hero, if he would mind, when he decided he was done with that Blue Emmons, if I could buy that off of him. And lo and behold, one day in 2018, he called, and we went down to Sylva, North Carolina, picked the guitar up, I had him sign it to me, and that was definitely my favorite highlights of that night and my history of playing steel guitar.
Hey friends, Joshua here. Friday night was such an incredible night. The Kingsmen celebrating 70 years in our hometown, Asheville, North Carolina, at my home church, Trinity Baptist Church. It was so special, so surreal. A night full of memories, full of things I'll never forget as long as I live. A couple of my highlights were getting to stand beside Eric Phillips, Ernie's son, and sing "We Do Not Die" with the video of Ernie playing in the background. It was so awesome. Such a full circle moment. For me especially, Ernie was my buddy. Got to spend a lot of time around him at Trinity, and getting to be with his son and get to sing those songs was something that I'll never forget. Also, another thing that was so awesome to me was getting to sing with the 90s Kingsmen band, Rory Rigdon, Randy Miller, and Greg Fox playing the drums. That's something that I can't explain. That was a moment that just about took my breath away. Rory was my youth pastor when I was a teenager. And so getting to play with those guys, he even looked at me at one point in the concert and said, "Did you ever think, that I would be playing bass for you to sing "Wish You Were Here" with the Kingsmen?" I said, "Man, I would never dream in my entire life that I would be here." But I'm so thankful, so grateful that I get to be part of this group. Every one of the guys treated me like I had been there 100 years. They were so welcoming, the brotherhood, the camaraderie. It's so real. The once a Kingsman, always a Kingsman phrase, that is such a reality. Every one of those guys, they just jumped on stage like they had just left. Even though some of those guys have moved on to do different things, they jumped in without missing a beat. And it was a wonderful, wonderful night. And I hope you got to be there. Thanks for allowing me to be there. I appreciate you guys.
So a few things that meant a lot to me at the Kingsmen 70th anniversary concert in Asheville was getting to play the piano alongside Greg Fox, Randy Miller, and Roy Rigdon. I grew up watching those guys play in the 90s when Anthony Berger was on the piano. So to see them beside me playing while I was playing, it was unreal. Also, we rehearsed the day before the concert, and we did a lot of time rehearsing. And then the day of the concert is when the older guys came in and rehearsed with us. The current group rehearsed the Thursday, and the older guys rehearsed on the Friday. And after the rehearsal, Greg Fox came up to me, gave me a hug, told me he appreciated me being there and being with the Kingsmen and playing the piano for all the groups. And then he said something to me. It was very interesting to me. It was very meaningful to me. He said, "Don't try to be Anthony. Don't try to be Andrew or Nick or Tim Lovelace." He said, "The people that are coming tonight, they want to hear you. So be you. Be Richie Works." That meant a lot to me because before, originally Nick Bruno and Nick Sushi was scheduled to be there at that event. But a few days prior, Alan told me that something happened and neither one of them was able to make it, so that I was going to be the sole piano player for the event. So having that pressure of trying to keep the piano sound alive, the traditional piano sound from the Kingsmen that Anthony made famous, that Nick Bruno made famous. So it was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure as far as trying to get it right, getting it to sound exactly how the fans would expect to hear it. And then have Greg come up to me and say, "Don't try to be any of those, just be you." That was very meaningful.
One of my favorite moments from the 70th anniversary. Oh, hey, Josh. Josh, how are you? Have you already done this?
What are you doing? I have done that.
Oh, yeah. Come here and
Yes.
share yours again. Well, you can share a different favorite moment. Well, one of my favorite moments was getting to sing When They Call My Name.
Yeah.
And with little Ernie's son, Eric Phillips. It was one of the coolest. I love that song, and he sounded just like his dad. That was awesome. That was so many amazing moments, but that was one of my favorites. You got another one that you didn't share?
Well, I mentioned Eric too in my video.
Really?
I got to say the full band, man, singing with the full band is just unreal.
Oh yeah,
like that's the Kingsmen that I first discovered.
Yeah,
was a full band,
and George Jones too.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, it was.
Hey guys, I'm out on the road here, as you can see, but wanted to give you a recap of the 70-year anniversary in Asheville, North Carolina. It was a wonderful time. If you missed out, you really missed a great time. But just being able to see all my buddies that I've not seen in years, some of them I haven't seen in probably 25 years or so. But it was a blast. I also enjoyed one of my favorite moments was the video that they showed of little Ernie singing, and the live band came in and executed a perfect marriage of live band and video. It was great. It was a fabulous time. And also just being able to hear the new guys come together and the blend, the harmonies, the excitement was there. And it was a really, really special time. And I was so happy and privileged to be a part of it.
Wow. Is my analysis of Friday night's Kingsmen 70th anniversary celebration in Asheville. It was fabulous. It's a combination concert and worship service. The Holy Spirit showed up. We heard former members sing some of their best songs. We heard the current members come out with their new songs from the Still Jesus Project, which is new this week. I hope you get to watch this video because it is full of wonderful moments. Funny, serious, worshipful, praise. It was wonderful. Brady got to perform for just a few minutes, and we got to see the current group, and we get a glimpse of what's coming in the future of the Kingsmen. Brandon Reese is taking them into a new era, and we're excited to see it all.
For me, it was such an honor to sit in with the Kingsmen band. One of my favorite things about the Kingsmen is how the band, in addition to the singers, they never seem to have held anything back, and they left it all out there on stage. Well, this was definitely present at the anniversary concert.
And I got to experience it firsthand, not only playing alongside past members like Greg Fox and Randy Miller, but Brandon and the rest of the guys, they play with that same spirit. And I think that really contributed to the high energy and the overall great night that the concert was.
Well, my first comment on Facebook about it was that although I'm rarely at a loss for words, it was just really hard to put into words what Friday night was like. The comments, even between us on our Kingsmen thread, were just like, I've been crying ever since Friday night. I honestly think it was more than any of us could have ever dreamed it would be. And my hope and prayer is that all the fans there felt the same way. It was just great from start to finish. I was at Trinity Church, I guess, other than to run and get a quick shower and pick up my wife at the hotel from 10 o'clock, or actually a little before 10 o'clock Friday, until about 11 o'clock that night. And just the camaraderie and the fellowship and the singing. For instance, I think it was the first time that I actually got to share the stage with Gary Shepard. Met Gary, felt like I knew him, but I don't think, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think that we had ever sung together, which was kind of crazy, but neat at the same time. And speaking of Gary, he just about shut the whole thing down on He's All I Need. He got to squalling, and it was so evident that what he was feeling and expressing was real. And that's what I could say about the whole night. It was just real. I told my wife that it's probably unique in an organization like the Kingsmen to have that many guys, current members, former members, founding members, you name it, all assembled in the same building all day long. And there just be absolutely no airs being put on. I never felt any sense of competition or anybody trying to outdo the other, or anybody trying to take charge or let people know who they were and what they'd done. There was just none of that. And quite honestly, there could be some of that in a room filled with that much talent. But it's just the kind of guys that have come through that organization for the past 7+ now decades. I think some of the favorite moments for me, I've already mentioned Gary, and I think everybody who was there and witnessed him singing He's All I Need would agree with that. Just what a real moment that was. The first half was good. My old boss man, Ray Dean, was there. And just getting to see him and the things that had already happened in the first half of the show just had me so emotional that I'm out at my table and I can't get it together. My buddy Kurt from Ohio came out there and he even got to squalling because I'm like, okay, I knew I had a lot to do in the second half. And I told my wife, I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sing a lick because I had gotten so, excuse me, not made for TV. I had gotten so snotty from crying and just trying to hold back tears and then couldn't hold them back and all that. But I wouldn't have traded it for the world. That's what made the evening so great. It was so emotional and it was so good. Other highlights of the night for me came with honoring some of the guys that had already gone on. But, when they played Little Ernie on the screen and then Eric Phillips, his son, got up there singing and sounding just like him. Just surreal. Then when they honored Squire, did their tribute to him, and then Sam sang Sweet Beulah Land and Look for Me at Jesus' Feet, two of the greatest Squire Parsons songs. And then I got to sing What a Lovely Name, just emotional, but fantastic. And then when they honored Fox, and there's Greg, and he couldn't keep it together, hardly. And again, those moments just made it real and made it fantastic for me. They honored Hamill And to my surprise, and I had almost reached out to James, but I thought, I bet somebody else has. And sure enough, they had James Hamill on stage, and that was emotional as well. And then my old boss man, Ray Dean Reese, I call him boss man, but he's so much more than that. The whole time I was there, he never felt like a boss. He felt more like a friend and like a father figure. And he just treated me like one of his own. And he's not in as good a shape physically as he'd like to be and as we'd like him to be. But I can promise you the night would not have been the same without him. And in fact, I joked with him during the week. When I called him, he was still in the 21 day rehabilitating his legs and stuff from hospital stay he had been in. And I said, well, if you're not going to be there, I'm not coming. And he said, well, don't do that, cousin. But, I was kind of halfway serious about that. I would have gone anyway, but it would have just been a bummer for Ray Dean Reese not to be there. And I'm so glad he was, so thankful he was. It was so great to see him and to hear that voice of his, even if it's not what he thinks it should have been, singing along on songs like I Know and, of course, The Old Ship of Zion, where we even managed to get him up on stage to sing, was just priceless. It was priceless for me. I will carry that memory with me to my grave and always thank the Lord for it. You combine just all of the men that were there. I'm not going to try to name everybody, but just the talent on that stage, a lot of them I grew up listening to on cassettes and CDs and even records. And I've told a lot of my friends and people here at home that my whole almost 7 years as a Kingsman, it always felt to me like pinch me moments. Now, there were Sunday mornings and different things and different events that weren't always perfect. But as a general rule, every time I stepped on that stage, I just, it was a pinch me moment. I'm like, what am I doing here? Especially when you would do bigger events like the National Quartet Convention, and I'm up there trying to sing, and I was sick every year at National Quartet Convention, except one, I think. And you look down, and on the front row is Bill Gaither, and on the front row is, name them. They were all there. I'm like, what is Bob Sellers from Gordo, Alabama doing here? And that's the way Friday night felt for me as well. I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, I just felt so blessed and so thankful that God allowed me to be a part of that legacy. And the talent that was assembled in that room and on that stage that night, from the musicians to all the vocalists, singers, and it's just beyond words for me. I saw a lot of Facebook posts, even from those of us that participated in it, and also from the fans that were there, that said, I just can't put into words how special this event was. And that would be my echo. I was supposed to do this video and try to put into words some of the highlights of the evening for me, and I've tried to do that a little bit. But all in all, you just can't put into words. You would have had to be there. I know the video was great, and it's going to be great, but it won't do justice as being in that building would do. And speaking of that building, Trinity Baptist Church, that building is what is so special for us alumni anyway. That building is where Squire Parsons, Ernie Phillips, Arthur Rice, Roy Rigdon, probably more members of the Kingsmen have been members of for years. It's where the funeral service for little Ernie was held. And during that service, Squire had his massive heart attack, and that was just such a surreal thing for all of us who were there and experienced that. That building is where Squire Parsons' private funeral service was held. That place in and of itself was special enough, so I don't think that there's another venue in the country that would have been better suited to host the 70th anniversary than Trinity Baptist Church. And they were fantastic. From the meal they provided for us that afternoon, it just everything was, it was just all over the top. Look, I hope I'm around for an 80th anniversary. I hope and pray the Kingsmen are around for an 80th and a 90th anniversary, and hopefully we can do it again. If so, don't miss it. And then to see some of the sweetest men who also laid the foundation for that group, paved the way many years ago. Men like Ray Talley, one of the original Kingsmen pianists, and Ray McKinney, who was one of the original founders of the group. He and his 4 brothers started the McKinney brothers, and then they went in different directions. Army, one of them moved off and that sort of thing. And he started hiring different people, and he hired Eldridge Fox to play piano and produce and arrange the group. And they decided to change the name to the Kingsmen Quartet in 1956. Raymond McKinney is 92 years old, and he was there, and he looked great. And he and Ray Talley, no two sweeter guys on the planet. I've said too much, I know already, but I can't say enough about how incredible the night was. I don't know what, if anything, could have made the night or the concert any better. I tip my hat to Brandon Reese and Alan Kendall, Brady Jones, Evan Bradford, all of those who had a part in coordinating and planning out the evening. Many, many thanks to everybody that participated, that showed up, the fans. I can't thank you enough, but most of all, thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for a wonderful, wonderful night, one that I will never, ever forget. Once a Kingsman, always a Kingsman.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Behind the Crown podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. If you would, please like, rate, and share this episode. Join us again for another episode of the Behind the Crown podcast.